Hello all, welcome to the channel all about economic board games. Today I bring you a video about Spiel 2022. Yes, that's right, it's that time of year again, and we've got a top 10 for you economic board games. Now, this list today is 10 games, no particular order, and it's games I think if you're off to this convention, one of the biggest conventions in the world, held in Germany early October, you need to be mindful of these games that may feature there. And we've got 10 juicy games too. Even if you're not going to the convention, look out for these in the near future. Okay, so I've got a sort of overview on each of them. Sometimes these games, there's not a lot of material out there. So without further ado, here we go. The first game we have then, folks, is Amalfi Renaissance. So this is where players are trading resources using their ships and managing their resources. What a quirky cover art. Now, there was a first edition of this, and this one's got some slight tweaks to it, which I'll go through. And here's a look at the board. So you got that sort of Renaissance feel to it. It says it plays 2 to 4 players. Probably that medium complexity we're looking at the moment. Now, in this one, you're taking the role of merchants in the Italian port town of Amalfi during this Renaissance period, and you'll be trading resources using ships and earning money and investing this in improving your infrastructure to help earn even more money. You'll have purchasing charts, investing in navigation, and the players can get more efficient at doing so. You'll have new ships, you can have more workers to take more actions, collect paintings, books, historical buildings to receive honour and acclaim. You can also hire these renowned historical figures that you can see at the bottom, and a bit of a closer up here as well. And you're working towards the goal of reviving Amalfi Renaissance whilst also becoming the most successful family in this historical significant harbour city. Now, this new edition, it says, includes new rules, how you can build counters, you've got new characters, and the level design has been changed as well. Okay, so looking forward to seeing more on that one. Okay, the second game we have for you today, I'm sure you'll all recognise the designer of this one, Findorf by Friedman Freeze. So this is the chap who's brought us Power Grid and a host of other games. Now, in this one, you're building at Findorf by raising the main structures and rail tracks. 1 to 5 players, it says, roughly an hour to an hour and a half, and we're not too sure on the complexity of this one so far. Now, I haven't got many pictures other than a few cards on the next slides, but in this game, you are building up the district of Findorf in the period of 1803 to 1916, and this game offers you an economic engine builder with a resource market for peat known from Power Grid, and an innovative resource management required when you're building these rail tracks and houses in Findorf itself. So your focus then is on raising the right combination of the 25 historical structures from the period dated. So do you raise the chair pipes factory or the slaughterhouse to gain a lot of tailors, or basically money, or smaller structures like schools, the beer hall, or the peat skipper shelter to win the game in small steps? So I am looking forward to this one. I enjoy Power Grid. I prefer Power Grid Factory Manager myself, but yeah, you can see a few cards here in German. So I like the look of the artwork, and you can never really go too wrong. Usually quite dry, these games, but we'll see what this one brings. Okay, the third game we've had, which I mentioned previously on a couple of my other videos, is Plutocracy. In this game, you're earning money and power while trading in a rotating universe, which really caught my attention, how the variability in the game can sway. It's 2 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes, it says, and it's on the heavier weight, it says, so we'll see what that brings. Now, in this one, space is time, is money, is power, and you can see that on the bottom there. Now, in this game, you're leading one of the big trading corporations. Here's another picture of the board and all those various counters swaying around the galaxy as such. And you'll travel from planet to buy and sell resources. And as typical games, you're trying to sell at a higher price than you bought, and you'll earn money. Then you need this money to buy seats in the planetary parliaments in each of the 3 elections during the game. And players have the majority in a planetary parliament will send councillors to the plutocratic council, if I can spit that one out. Now, equally important as the elections are the societies on Earth, and players that meet the conditions to join them while on Earth may also send councillors to the plutocratic council. But the ultimate objective of each player is to have the most councillors in this plutocratic council at the end of the game. I like the theme of this one, and there's another game these designers slash the producers this brought us was Euro Crisis, and I have got a copy of that reserved at the convention as well, so hopefully bring that one to you. And I believe this game, it's been through its Kickstarter. I'm hoping they've actually got production of this at the event itself, so you might be able to pick up a copy. Okay, the fourth game we've got. This is one I've spoken a lot about on the channel, and it is called Sky Mines, a kind of re-implementation of Mombasa, a game I enjoy, and designer Alexander Pfister there at the top left. So in this one, you're mining the moon and investing in promising companies to make yourself a fortune. We've got another solo play all the way up to 4 players, probably on the longer side, 75 to 150 minutes it says, and it's in that heavier complexity range. Now you can see a bit of the board there. So as investors, you're trying to earn the most Cripe coin over the course of 7 rounds, and you'll be doing this by investing in mined resources in company and spreading your outposts. And you can improve your earnings by supporting, you've got scientist research, and by having them collect precious helium free. Now at the heart of this game is unique card programming and hand management system that requires careful and clever planning. For those of you familiar with Mombasa, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Now it provides deep player interaction by letting you invest in any of these 4 companies as you see fit, and usually there's bonuses for doing so. And as the combination of company abilities changes each game, there are endless synergies and strategies to explore. I'm very much looking to see how this one's progressing along at the convention there. Okay, the next game, one of my favourite designers, and it is Matt Gertz, who's bringing us Crossing Oceans. I do not have any more images other than this artwork on the cover. I have been following Transatlantic 2 for a while, and it just disappeared all of a sudden, and this appeared, and it seems to be hot in the old Board Game Geek lists there, and I was like, what's this Crossing Oceans? That sounds familiar. It's the same game but with a rename there. So this one's where you're crossing the oceans, due in the golden era of ocean liners. Currently it's built for 2 to 4, it says 60 to 90 minutes. Not sure on the weight, but it's probably going to be that medium sort of touching maybe heavy complexity. Now in this one, this game features 50 historic ships. And during that golden era of ocean liners at the turn of the 20th century, and even larger and faster steamships are revolutionised, and daring ship companies open steamship lines to the major ports worldwide. Now you're going to build yourself a thriving merchant fleet, and you'll guide it into economic prosperity. You'll acquire the most modern steamships on the market and take over those ports from your rivals. You'll build an extensive network of trading posts and coal bunkers to expand your capabilities, and you'll make use of all these diverse options to carry out lucrative transports and win the prestigious blue ribbon of the North Atlantic. Now it says it picks up the theme and some elements of Transatlantic, the previous one, composing an entirely new game on a large historical map this time. And one of the main differences in the design is the rondel. So it's not a card-driven game, it says. And if you guys are familiar with some of Matt Gertz's previous games, Imperial 2030, Concordia, Navigador, you know, the rondel works extremely well in those games. So really excited to see more on this one. Okay, the 6th game we have today is Eknos, if that's how you pronounce this one. And this is an economic game with simple mechanics and an in-depth strategy. 2 to 6 players, it says, and it says it plays under an hour. Now in this one, I've got a few images on here. You can see the board to the right there. You are competing with the rest of all your players to take control of different board game publishers. That really caught my attention. It doesn't kind of look like that, but that's what it says, and you become the president of these companies to decide their expansion policy, trying to make them grow and expand as much as possible throughout Europe. So you can see some of those companies on this map here, and here's a bit of a close-up of the production, which looks really cool. If I'm honest, it really drew me in, this one. You're buying and selling shares at the right time, which will be key to taking control of the market. And here are 6 of those board game publishers you will be taking control of. There we are, another image. These are some of the online shots. So curious to see how this one plays. It had a first edition. It's sort of been re-implemented with some finer stuff in here. So, yep, that was number 6. Number 7, then, we have a game called Friar, if you pronounce it that way. And this is where you are trading and speculating. You're sailing on the channels of the ancient floating market. 2 to 4 players, 90 to 120 minutes, this one says. Touching on that medium complexity. And in this game, it is set in the Chao Phraya River in Bangkok, Thailand. The century-old floating market swarms with merchants moving from one stall to another in their own boats. And on these water markets, there are centres of economic activity. And now you can relive this and experience as one of those ancient merchants. And this is a commodity speculation pick up and deliver game in which players trade from stall to stall while trying to get the best prices and make offerings in the temples to win the Buddha's favour. So buy their own stalls as well to do business and even approach the king there. So you can see, seems like a lot going on, a lot of colours, but I don't mind that. Sort of games like Yamatai and what else we got? We got well, anyway, those sort of games where you're hopping, buying, selling. So see what this one brings. You got another image of the board here. So yeah, would like to see more on this one. Then next game at number 8, I only have the cover art for this one. It's called World Exchanges. Now I like the sound of this one. You're buying and selling cities to gain the benefits from the difference and the run chart. So it's 2 to 4 players. Says it plays sort of 45 minutes. And after the incident in El Dorado in 2082, the world was divided and dominated by 4 notorious oligarchs. They maintain peace on earth, but have a bizarre tradition that every 50 years they will redistribute the lands and resources by selling and buying all the major cities in the world. Will you maximize your fortune in this once-in-a-lifetime chance or vanish in the dust of the cities that never stop changing hands? And the goal of the game is to literally, as we said, buy and sell these cities at the right moment to earn the most profits and gain a variety of rewards before becoming the richest oligarch to win the game. I'm curious how this one plays out. So, yep, keep an eye on that. Tell me more in the comments what you think if you do see this at the convention. Okay, the 9th game we got today is a game I've mentioned previously, Orconomics. Not one you traditionally think of economics, but the theme and what it says, it's a cutthroat economic board game for orc entrepreneurs. 2 to 5 players, 25 to 40 minutes, and it's on that lighter complexity. So we've got a few images of the board here. Now, in this one, you're competing to establish companies in 10 industrial sectors, and the board game itself assembles randomly for each new game that gives a good replay rating, as these sectors will have different values. Now, companies in each industrial sector generate income or losses and grant the players abilities that can be used during the game. So to win the game, a player needs to be the first to found 10 companies and the game on the game board, or sometimes you can win by other methods if you've done these greed, rage or dare quests. And you can see a closer up here, so how that variable sets up. So curious to see how this plays. Can't wait to see more. And this is the 2nd edition. There's a few tweaks from the first one. You got different victory conditions. You got a new quest system, it says, and activation of sector abilities are now directly bonded with the influence cards. So a few different things there with the startup mechanics as well, which has been fully reinvented. So we've got a close-up of some of the artwork, which looks really, really good. Okay, the last game, which I have played at the UK Games Expo at number 10 here. I just didn't know the name of it. It was called 18XX, the roll and write, but I've now found the actual name, Arabella. Do not ask me why it's got a cat on the front of it, but this is basically 18XX roll and write, and it says it plays in an hour. It's 1 to 4 players, 45 to maybe 90 minutes for that learning game. And in this one, we've got a few images here which I took. You've got a game that's set in Estonia, and the goal is to collect the most victory points. But similar to other 18X games, you've got shares and dividends that will play an important part as well. And during your turn, you'll choose from the dice from the common dice pool, but the amount of dice chosen and also the value are very important to which action you can take. So as an action, you could buy shares, you could buy trains, you could build tracks, and also run trains for income and dividends. And at the game end, one of the players who's reached the end of one of their income tracks or the last 6 trainers bought will trigger the game end. And after that, victory points are collected. You get the most from the fulfilled objective cards, but also some from shares and unlocked dice modifiers. So you can see the board here. You got those dice modifiers you're getting extra little bonuses for. The next slide, you can see at the top that the cubes you're taking off that trigger things, and then you got the map itself. If I go back there, you see the map where you're rolling right. You're putting your lines on there. You're getting certain destinations, and you're trying to get income and extra dividends from fulfilling those orders there. So I really enjoyed this one. I can't see. I'm looking forward to where this one finishes up and how it looks. If it's still got a cat on the cover, but definitely give this one a go. Okay, so the last, I've got a few little bonus games then at the end here. I'll kind of move my face in a minute. So top right, we've got Autobahn. I have given this one a go, at least the first round. Felt a little bit clunky, but I'm looking to see where this one goes. So if you do see it at the convention, have a look at it. It's on the heavy complexity Alicat Games. You've got Future Energy there, Queen Games. I'm quite interested to see what they do with an economic game, but it's on that typical, environmental aspect. So looking forward to seeing more of that one. Peak Oil Profiteer. This one's fulfilled its Kickstarter and believe it's going to be at the convention. I should have a copy coming soon. Get that on the channel for you. If I move my face, we've got Shark there. Look at that artwork. So I own the Turtle Bay edition, is it? Fantastic game, folks. Can't wait to see this one. It's in Korea, it's been produced, so we'll see when that gets brought over with a few new tweaks to it. Hegemony, that was one of my top games. Whether that's to the convention, obviously that's being delivered out early next year, so I'm excited to see that. But basically, a host of these, if you see them there, have a look how they're getting on in their development and give them a go if they got copies. Foundations of Rome, obviously you're going to struggle to buy a copy of that if your pockets aren't deep enough, but if they've got a copy there, give that one a go. Rather simplistic but very gorgeous looking economic game. Age of Comics, I'm not sure if they're at the convention. I'm currently reviewing a copy of that, so hopefully get that on the channel soon for their Kickstarter in September 19th, I believe. So see how that one comes along. Yimby, another interesting looking game. Early days in development though. Dom Pierre I've mentioned a few times. That's sort of interesting in viticulture, but in this time Champagne, give that a look. And finally, 11, which has finally been sort of released and sent to backers. I'm very curious of this, a portal game. I know they've had a bit of and ahhing with their delivery, but yeah, looking forward to seeing how that plays, especially since I like things like Pret a Porte. There we are, folks. If you're off to the convention, have a fantastic game. Hopefully today's video has given you a few insights into a few economic board games that you need to give a go. See you soon, folks. Bye.